approaches, like which students, I guess, what areas. They scored those, so I'm gonna do mine.
Okay, so when we met last time, we discussed that we were gonna target our approaches kids, to try to grow them to meet standards by the time we take STAR. We have our benchmark coming up, which is last year's STAR, on March 1st. So hopefully that will help us go back and check our data to make sure that we're driving our instruction during pack time to focus on the areas. But the areas we identified in our last meeting were addition and subtraction of whole numbers, multiplication and division of whole numbers, fractions, and then we put in measurement because they showed weakness in it. However, we have not covered that yet, so we just need to monitor that as we get further into the 9 weeks.
Were we gonna do, I think we talked about geometry, right? I think that's part of the measurement, geometry. and
Yes, it
measurement.
is. It's falls under the measurement, so. Yes. So, I know we discussed that you're so great at geometry. Are you gonna take on the measurement
I don't know, I could,
pack
yeah,
time?
I
Okay.
could. So the groups that we wanna do, so it'll be 3 different ones.
Addition and subtraction of whole numbers. And I think since Miss Oliver is new to the subject and teaching, let's give her addition and subtraction of whole numbers, since she came from first grade last year. I'll take multiplication and division of whole numbers. And then you will take measurement.
Geometry, okay.
And then we have fractions too.
Do you think that maybe we could possibly put fractions in with multiplication and division?
Yeah, I'll do that. Since they're not really going deep into division, it's just separating. So I'll do multiplication, division, and fractions.
So for these, up here, where I'm looking at, so if I have a student that's in this area here, that would be.
Okay, so if you find your approaches students, find an approach. That's gonna be yellow, right?
Yeah, so like.
Okay, so if you have your yellow kid, Jackson, so his lowest area is geometry and measurement, so he'd be in your group.
And then what about, I had one, where did he go? So his was between these two.
So then so you'll look at his data from winter benchmark, because numerical representations and relationships, that's gonna be addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. So find which one he struggled with on that benchmarking test and then put him in that group.
And then, where is he not? He was, I think it was.
Same thing, so you'll have to identify if he struggles with addition and subtraction or multiplication and division and group him by that.
Okay. Alright, and then I'll look at. And if they're here.
If they're here, you're gonna put them
Fractions.
in addition and subtraction, I would,
Okay.
cause that's really what they do whenever, like, money is under here, and that falls under addition and subtraction.
Okay, so if I'll find that out, and then get my last one, she was, so she was the same thing.
So we really want to ensure that the kids cannot master the readiness teaks if they don't have the supporting teaks. So when we start our intervention pack time next week, make sure that your lesson is geared towards supporting and then moves into the readiness to make sure that they've mastered that before we throw the readiness at them. So have a combination of both.
Supporting before readiness.
And once you have your list of students and what area they need to work on, we can group them, take my kids, your kids, and get an idea of how many kids. We really try to have no more than 12 students in the group. You can do a whole group lesson. It doesn't have to be at your small group table. It can be in front of your board, since there might be more, and then just have the other kids in the back with activities. So I would put them on Dreambox. You can use your map data to guide them also, because in Dreambox, it gives those same 4 subcategories, and then you can look at their map testing data, take their lowest scored area, and then assign that. So say it was measurement and geometry. In Dreambox, it has a thing where you say schedule, and it's a 2-week plan, and then you can click on Dreambox, or you can click on geometry and measurement, and so it assigns only those areas of weakness for those kids. So like your kids that are already sitting at a master's level, yes, they might have a 212 on geometry and measurement, and that might be their lowest thing. Is that a low score? No, but it will focus them to grow that lowest area for them on the level that they're at. So even if it's 5th grade math, that's where it's gonna put them. It's not gonna put them at 3rd grade geometry and measurement if they're scoring that high.
So.
And then, so we're working with Approaches Kids, so your did not meets kids, the same thing. Pull their data and map, look at it, assign them Dreambox, lessons that are in their lowest areas of concern. A lot of them, when I was looking at my data, had 2 areas that were low, so don't do the 2-week plan, do the 1-week plan, and then schedule 1 week of that and 1 week of the next one, if they have it. If they don't, then you can put them on a 2-week plan.
And then we said that the does not meet kids should be doing Dreambox every morning during pack time.
And then, at the last meeting, I gave everybody a printout of a sheet for, to conference with your kids individually, to show them what their score was, their projection for a star, their benchmark grade, and then allowing them to make that goal. So just make sure those are done by Monday before we take our benchmark on Tuesday, so that we can go in and put their score and then pull them back and tell them, this is what you made improvement, we're very proud of you, this is what we're gonna do to help you grow even further. And then that's when we'll inform them that you're gonna be put in this group, you'll be going to Miss Hunter's room if it's for measurement, you'll be going to Miss Oliver's room for addition and subtraction, and then it'll start the following Monday, which is the 7th.
Okay, so the 7th will start. So I started that this morning with my homeroom during pack time. I got through half of them. And then with my class, my switch class right now, I've pulled half of them, and I should be able to get the rest done today or by Monday.
Okay.
So it's working
And you can even use that sheet, cause it has like, the area of weakness, so that you don't have to go back and forth in the computer, just look at the sheet and then go schedule all your dream boxes before the 7th. Cause once we start on the 7th, it's just gonna be hands-on, and they're gonna have to have everything preloaded for them. And then we will meet again we have testing.
Do you know when the data, like when they take the benchmark on Tuesday, is it like our other assessments in Eduphoria?
It should
Do we
be
get it
released
like immediately? Okay.
Yeah, since it's through that programming, through the district, it'll be released. Like as soon as a kid submits, you'll be able to go in and look at it.
Yeah.
So while they're testing and that information is coming in, just kind of blanket look and start, those kids that you have on your approaches, look at that data, see what teats that they're struggling with, and then we'll match them to the appropriate teacher that they need to be. Just an extra piece of data to look at to go with what we already have. And then on the 4th, just have your plan and your lessons for at least 2 weeks. So the 7th through the 11th and the 14th through the 18th of where you're starting, where you're ending, and then make sure we have like, a post-assessment to give them to see the growth and the progress that they're making. And it's good for them to be able to look at too.
You said a pre-assess and a post, or just?
Just a post, cause we're gonna use all their data for their pre-assessment, that's why they're going in there. And then, so we'll meet on Friday instead of Thursday.
With our plans,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, and just make sure that we don't need any other resources to help with them. I know we have all the manipulatives for fractions, and our base 10 blocks for addition and subtraction. So if there's anything you need, just let me know.
Okay.
And we'll start that rotation for 2 weeks. We'll do the post-assessment on the kids. And then if we need to rotate them to another one because they had 2 areas of weakness, we can make that change after 2 weeks. If we think that a kid, only struggled in this area and we think they're good, or we can rotate all the way around. What do you think would work best?
I think maybe like most of the kids that did score low in, it's that like between multiplication, division, and the addition, subtraction. So maybe it'd be good to do like half and half, so they get both. And theirs is probably mostly those word problems, I bet, so.
Yeah, and really we could do, cause we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 6 weeks before we start our actual STAR boot camp where the whole thing, 3rd grade shuts down and we start focusing on the low areas on all of our kids based off of our benchmark data from next week. So really, we could do 2-week rotations. So like start them in the area that they're lowest in. I think it's best that we intermix our kids so that they're working and hearing and seeing different kids that they're not used to working and hearing talk about math. And then we'll do 2 weeks, and then we'll rotate our groups. So Oliver's group can come to me, my group goes to you, your group goes to her, and then in 2 weeks, we rotate again. That way they get everything.
We could do that.
Since they're those bubble kids that are on teetering from approaching 3rd grade to meeting 3rd grade. I think that's a great idea.
So the kids that we work with, like when we're working with those 12 or so kids in front, the other kids in our class, like that did not meet, will be on Dreambox doing their thing. And then the other kids that are there, they're still working on their pack time, like what they normally work on during pack time. Okay.
Or even also they're assigned Dreambox to help push them even further. I have a Rose Angel. She comes and sits with me sometimes because her Dreambox is now 6th grade math, because that's where it's pushed her. And she's like, I don't know what a decimal is. Can you show me how to do it? And I showed her, and she was like, okay, I got it now. And she goes back. So
Yeah.
just if some of them are pushed so far that then find other activities that are grade appropriate for them to do that just extend them. But they can do Dreambox too. It helps them grow as well. And it's just pack time, so what are we looking at? 35 minutes, give or take?
Yeah, we
40
can get, we'll have like a time for kids to come in, get their little things going, and maybe decide like, okay, maybe, we go 7:50 to 8:15 or some little chunk of time, or that little 7:45 maybe, that's when mostly everybody's in and ready to go.
Yeah.
Sounds good to
And
me.
then, give them an exit ticket too. I think just a quick check from each day to see if they grasp what you were doing, even if it's just a sticky note on your door as they leave. Since they're not your kids, they'll be going back to other places, and then we can talk about them during planning time.
That sounds
See
good.
how they're doing. I think that's it. We'll put a calendar together. We can block the kids by color coordination and then say, okay, the pink group's gonna be with me, and then show the rotation. Anything else?
No, I think
Oh.
that's good.
And I'm gonna post our last year's benchmark scores so that we can show the kids where their growth should be. I did individualized growth, and then I told them this is where 3rd grade was last year. So what's our goal to beat? And they all said 70%, so
Yeah.
hopefully we can get that.
I was having that conversation just today with my kids about just realistic goals, you know, some of those kids that using, and I know that's the checkpoints from November, but like just some of those kids that had like a 36, like what's a realistic goal? And so I actually like showed them the columns of the meets and the
Yeah.
or the approaches, the meets, the masters, and kind of just talked about like what that looks like as far as if you had to give it a grade point, like maybe an A, B, C, kind of like, okay, you didn't make it here. So, and then I kind of put like, you know, a 77 between this is this category, like which one, just so that they, you know, because most, of
Sitting
course,
at a
everyone's.
34. I want to get 100.
Exactly, and it's just that realistic,
Yes.
like, think about it like, and I would tell them like, I wanna see you at least get to here, so here's those numbers, what between here do you think would be realistic? And so I kinda tried to do it that way, and then, you know, of course, I had, you know, students, like, I had one student, he was a 95, that was in November, you know, but I had explained it to him, like, what would be realistic, because this test taught, like, went over what we learned in that 9 weeks. This test Tuesday, there's some things on there we have not learned yet. And so even though he had a 95 there, he wanted to stay a master's, but he said, I think realistic, my goal is at least to make a 90 on it. And I said, that's okay, just because, you know, if I said 100, you know, it's doable, but, you know, just thinking about just the difference in the two types of tests. So even though his goal was lower, it's still in that master's where.
And we can even take it, I know I gave you the breakdown of what we've taught and what we haven't taught, so we can remove those 7 questions that we haven't taught and do a rescore to see, okay, had these questions not been in here that we haven't taught yet, what would your grade look like?
Yeah.
What would your approaches, meets, masters look like? Cause it would probably change for some of them. You know, those 7 questions, if they haven't seen it on Dreambox or something, is gonna kill some of our kids that like to make that 95
Exactly.
to 100, so.
I think that's really helped, and they've liked sitting down talking about, you know, I've made them set, what's 3 things that you can do before, during the test, you know, and a lot of them are like, not rushing, slowing down, working out my problems. and
Showing
I'm
my
like,
evidence,
yes, I'm like,
You're
yes.
like, okay, so do it.
And one said, eat a good breakfast, get good sleep. I was like, those are some really good things to think about, so,
Yes.
yeah, they've loved coming in just conferencing, so they really enjoy it.
And then also, real quick, before we look at our kids, let's do a tab, we'll do a tab in OneNote that says pack time, and then we can have our calendar running up on that, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that
Sound
sounds good, yeah.
Okay, I'll work on putting that in, and then we can even do our teaks, like this is the supporting, this is the readiness I'm hitting on this day, this is the supporting, this is the readiness I'm hitting on this day. Sounds good?
Yeah, here, I'll just add this section, I'm already in
Okay,
here.
perfect.
So just put pack
Mhm.
time.
Rotations.
Do you want each teacher to have like a little page where they post their stuff? Maybe like a page?
Yeah, and
Or-
then we can just have the calendar on the front one.
So these two first names.
Yeah, so under like, for me, I'll drop resources that I'm using, and they're not full-blown lesson plans, but just, this is the teak that I'm doing, this is the area of focus, here's the activity,
So
just,
it could be something like task cards, you're doing under with them and they're.
and it could be something that we pulled from when we actually taught it in the beginning, cause it's new material that they haven't seen in a while.
I know with geometry, I need to hit those, and we're hitting it again next week, which is good, because right before we start this, we're doing 2 days of geometry again, so it'll be good to just refresh their memories with that parallel, and, you know, all those different, things for the
Characteristics
quadrilaterals, and
Yes.
so that'll be good.